from the hit podcast, H.I.T, Human Resources, Insurance, and Technology. I'm your host, Toby Kennedy. Welcome to a new year. Congrats. We made it. We did our first full year. We have rounded the bend, and happy new year, everybody. We are continuing to drop into your feed every Tuesday. Like, subscribe, share, make it your New Year's resolution to get me more followers. Just kidding. But do it. Get out there. Tell people about us, because what we hope to be is a digestible, bite-sized, curated fix for you if you're in the space of human resources, insurance, and technology. This week's hit episode is brought to you by Montage Insurance Solutions. And without any further ado, let's get right into it. This week's episode is about goals. New year, we have goals. Did you set goals for the year? Did you set goals with your team? Does your team know what SMART goals are? I mean, you could explain it to them. You could save them the trouble and send them to this episode. But I think that there's a couple of iterations out there. The consensus, the one I like the best, SMART goals. S.M.A.R.T, SMART, specific, S. Measurable, M. Achievable, A. Relevant, R. And time-bound, T. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Those are your SMART goals. So if you think of that in terms of weight loss, right? New Year's, new resolutions, we all have weight loss. You don't want to say, I want to exercise more. More what, right? Or I want to lose some weight. Well, what does some mean, right? Relative to what, right? So when you're talking about setting goals, I think it's important when we look at the efficacy of making them SMART goals. So it's just keeping the fitness analogy going. It's like, hey, I'm going to use a fasting window where I fast for 18 hours a day and I only eat within 6 hours a day. And I want my body fat percentage to drop below 20% by June and to stay there for the rest of the year, combining this with exercising 3 times a week, right? If you made that your fitness goal, that's measurable, that's specific, that's time bound, right? There's a lot going on in that you can sort of use and leverage and say, okay, now I can see how am I doing on my goals. So the point is we don't want them to be fuzzy or ambiguous. We want them to be specific, right? And so if we apply that to our job, we think, okay, it's not, I want to have better recruitment and retention, or I want to have less turnover. Less what? Like relative to what? Maybe you say, hey, I want to keep turnover below 10% or 20%, whatever's applicable to your organization. And I want to fill all key position within X amount of days or weeks. You make them something that's specific with recruitment and retention, but also measurable and time-bound. And therefore, you can look to see whether or not you've achieved your goals. Because if I say I have a goal of losing 10 pounds, but I don't say by when, I've never really failed at my goal. I just haven't gotten there yet, right? If I say, look, I want to lose 10 pounds by June, May 31st, June 1st starts rolling around, I know whether or not I've achieved that goal. Also within there, when we talk about goals that are attainable, you don't want to say, hey, I want 0% turnover, or I want to fill 100% of open jobs same day. That is specific and it is measurable, but it's not really something that could be attained, right? You want to keep it to something that's even possible. So you want to kind of stretch a little bit, but as you're setting these goals, yeah, it's important there's specificity. So we don't have ambiguity within what you're trying to attain. Yeah, it's important there's something in there that's measurable. So I can say, hey, literally, where was the line that we set and did we cross it or not? But on the A of the S.M.A.R.T, is this attainable? Is this something that's pie in the sky, or is this something that's stretch? But if we really knuckle down, we really focus, we can do this. The next one, relevant, I think is really important, because sometimes I'll have people on my team explain to me that they want to take a cooking class or get their karate black belt, which that's great and God bless them, but that really doesn't have anything to do with their job, right? So when you're looking at setting your goals, a lot of times you're like, okay, yeah, I want the specificity, I want the measurability, I want them to be attainable. I also want them to be relevant. I want the person setting their goals to understand where they fit in this organization, where we're trying to take them, and to have goals that are relevant to that journey. And for me personally, when I do my goals, I try to do one for all the different hats that I wear, right? So Toby the podcaster, Toby the president of Montage, Toby the CEO of Some Policy, Toby, the chief strategy officer of Benny, right? Toby, the account executive, my day job, which I love. It's the professional joy of my career that I'm serving and consulting with clients. Each one of these different roles and functions might have their own. If we back up, look at this set of goals, right? So maybe you have a set of goals for you, the recruiter. Maybe you have a set of goals for the benefits. Maybe you have a set of goals for the HRIS, right? Are we transitioning systems? So each of the different functions you have, there's an expression where you say, hey, sometimes you need to zoom out from working in the business to working on the business. And I think that's true of ourselves as well. Hey, look, we're doing our deliverables. We're putting in an honest day's work, but every once in a while we need to zoom out and say, okay, how can I categorize the different hats that I wear? And with each one of those, where am I today? Where do I want to be? What are some goals within there for the different hats that I wear that I can set for myself that are S.M.A.R.T goals for this function of my job and SMART goals for that function of my job? The point is, I'm a big believer in sitting down at the start of the year, meditating on the various things I'm trying to accomplish, and then setting out some thoughtful goals and then reviewing them. Literally calendaring that, maybe on a monthly basis, but looking to see where am I in the path and the journey of this year's goals. So I do that for myself and then for my team, right? And I want them actively involved in setting their goals. So I want to know, hey, do you know where I think you are strategically in this big picture and where you need to go? Because sometimes it's a fun exercise to see what goals they set for themselves. So we'll have a kickoff meeting where I explain to them what I expect, what I think SMART goals are, and then have them go give their goals. Write them out and let's book a meeting. Let's go over a 30-minute meeting, right? Bring me what you think your goals are and we'll go through it. And sometimes it's iterative. Sometimes I say, you know what? I don't think this is right for that reason. I don't think that's right for this reason. Let's talk this out, or that's probably not realistic, or that honestly might not be stretching enough. So we fine tune the goals, couple sets of laps, couple sets of meetings, and then we work as a team to say, okay, now we've set all of our goals. We know what we're trying to accomplish for the year. And I review those every month with the team. I think it's fun. It can just be a 10 or 15-minute meeting. And a lot of times, weather permitting, you can make it like a walking meeting. So, hey, we're going to get out. We're going to change the scenery. We're going to physically and psychologically get you into a new space. We're going to walk around, get some fresh air, and just talk. Hey, bring your goals with you, and let's talk about where are you in the accomplishment of those? What are the hurdles holding you back? Do I need to know about some of these? Can I fix some of these hurdles? Or are some of them, look, this is just a headwind you're going to have to push through. Unfortunately, I know what you're saying, and I know why it's a little harder to achieve this goal than you thought, but organizationally, can't do anything about that right now. Just power through it, right? Or yes, I can, and thank you for letting me know. So on a monthly basis, we're just kind of going for a 10 to 15 minute walk, and we're going over the SMART goals of each team member kind of one-on-one with me. And this all ties in really well to a practice that Danana set up here for us as managers, which is quarterly scorecards. So on a quarterly basis, we're going over metrics that, predetermined, you knew about on the front end. We're going to talk about this. We do a 10 to 15 minute walk every month to figure out how you're doing on your goals so far. And every 3 months, get together to review the scorecard. And I think that that's so much more helpful than the annual cadence. Because when you sit down to do a year-end review, it's just so hard to keep that much data in your mind about each employee and what they did all throughout the course of the year. It's also a long time to go without bouncing stuff off your manager, being able to talk about hurdles. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to them. So as we enter this new year, I just want to sit very briefly and talk about what a great time this time of year can be, right? This new year, this fresh energy where you look out and you say, okay, what are all the hats that I wear? What do I want to accomplish? How can I make them goals be specific, measurable, ultimately something that is attainable if I push myself, that's relevant to what I'm trying to accomplish, that I put some time-bound constraints on, and can I explain this to each of my team members? Can I have them create SMART goals along with me to look at these things? Can I review them regularly? And might we set ourselves up for a better year than we otherwise would have? That's all the time we have this week. Join us next week. Join us every week. We are dropping in on Tuesdays. And until next week, make this the best week yet.